problems. Like, so much shit he says, I'm like, couple groups. Definitely I got the most traction. I believe this is 20. Oh, 21. He put it on the thing. It's 21. I think we can go first half, like controversy and movie news, and then second half we can dive deep into the. So I've had other people who said like they'll try to watch tonight, but they're still gonna go see it. So I told them like chime in for the first 20, 30 minutes, then we're just getting into it. I'll tell you when we get started. Yes, sir.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Theater Goers. We're back. Listen, I do apologize. Me and T, we're working. We got personal lives to think about, guys. We got to survive out here. You know what I'm saying? But this is episode 21. This is my boy Tafari.
Yo,
we gonna be animated in this show. We're gonna be animated in this show because we are talking about the air quote controversial Joker. I'm so excited to talk about this movie. This is, other than Endgame, I think this is the most excited I've been to talk about a movie, just because that's how much I enjoyed it. You told me you enjoyed it. A lot of people enjoyed it. Bro, I swear to God, I'm calling it right now. If Joaquin Phoenix does not win the Best Actor award, I'm going to be very, very pissed.
yeah, apologies we missed last week. Tony had to tell me. Wait, if I'm messing up, is it Joaquin Phoenix or Joaquin Phoenix? Joaquin.
It's Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay, I've been
Joaquin.
avoiding saying it out loud because I've never been sure. But yeah, movie. First off, so you didn't hear you didn't hear any of the drama that was like surrounding the film's release.
In terms of like I would find out later on that it did involve mental illness, and once I saw the movie, I clearly saw the subject was basically that, and that made Joaquin Phoenix into the Joker, or Arthur Fleck into the Joker. But I didn't realize the controversy or the opinions of some people about that. I thought it was a really great representation of it in terms of what happens to the people with the mental illnesses that society ignores and forgets about and treats like trash. But if it goes a step deeper that I'm unaware of, then please educate me. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about this.
Okay, so remember how the whole Dark Knight thing with the dude in the trench coat and shot up the theater?
Yeah.
So people were already afraid that this movie would inspire more of that happening. So I don't know about you guys, but when I went, there was, I believe, two and then a third either in the vicinity or like patrolling. There were three squad cars, like two parked outside the theater and then like one off in the distance just in case something popped off. And I went and saw the movie in the middle of nowhere, Mount Dora, where like nothing happens. So
Damn. Really?
yeah, two, not even like little patrol, like two trucks just outside the theater, like ready and waiting with cops inside for anything to pop off.
I went on a Monday in the middle of the day, and there were no cops around when I went. But again, I don't know when you saw it, but I saw it I think last week. It had just come out the week before, so maybe it had something to do with that. But I didn't have no cop. Again, I went on a Monday in the middle of the workday because I was off that day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what you had cops? You had like SWAT or
Not like
just
SWAT,
cops?
but you know they have like the little, I don't want to call them like SUVs, but like the bigger squad cars, the trucks kind of that hold more than just like
Oh, yeah. You mean like possible like canine cars and
kind of,
shit?
yeah. So rather they had like two cops
Okay.
in the outside, two cops in the hallway, like where the movies were playing. Other people like off stationed elsewhere, I'm sure. So it just seemed like a lot of overkill for a theater that was pretty much empty.
Yeah, man. I'm not sure about that, but it's that it's that the concept. Some people, I feel like, over. How do I put this? They overestimate the message I feel like a movie brings, because the concept of the movie in Joker is the reason he was basically starting to be looked at almost like a leader or like a cult leader in the movie anyway, is because he did what so many people want to do, because in terms of the mental illnesses affecting them. That's not the opinion of every single person, but the fact of what he did, the people who just happen to be rich and also happen to be assholes, again, the whole concept is a movie. I'm not saying that people aren't really affected by it, because he played, Phoenix did, he played such a great role in embodying that mental illness and bringing it to light, which some people might not even like from the beginning, just because of that. Some people, it's the same talk about certain things like racism or rapists and things like that. They don't want to talk about that. It's the same thing. No one wants to talk about mental illness, but then when the subject's brought up, then everybody wants to shut it down.
Yeah, so the problem
You
is
see what
that
I mean?
people who don't. First off, the movie was rated R, so I saw complaints like parents who took their kids and they took them out because it was disturbing. There were
Because they're dumbass parents. That's
same thing
all.
with Good Boys. People just skipped the R rating. It was like it'll be family friendly. No, it's not. Like you got every warning. And then I'm not gonna lie. Like I thought I was expecting to be terrible. I was completely wrong. This man murdered this role first off. But yeah, people were thinking like people were basically coming out and saying, "Oh, the film is being made political, and the film is gonna like what was it? Encourage followers and incels." Kind of like the thing is, the movie takes no real aspects from anything here. Like there's no shots at any real political government. There's no like hints or mentions of someone who could maybe resemble like a Trump or some kind of cabinet party, whatever person. Everything
Mhm.
takes place and happens in the realm of Gotham. Like this is, I don't want to say it's a basic Joker story, but this is like an extended Joker story. Like his whole backstory in even a Killing Joke, which has been like his one origin, has been anyone can basically become me off of one bad day. Joker the film is what happens if you have a whole bad life.
Exactly. Everyone everyone knows from this point at least a good majority of the origin of Joker. But when the Killing Joke, the movie came out, that seemed to give more people a realization. But that was just one aspect, one way to tell the story because he lost his wife. He saw what happened to himself after the whole Red Hood thing, and then it's said that when he saw himself in the mirror, just like Jack Nicholson's Joker in the first Batman with Michael Keaton, as soon as he saw himself, he went insane. But here, you literally see a person broken down, basically abused and destroyed by everything and everyone in society his entire life. And you just see what happens when people just don't help or just stop caring.
Yeah, so the whole
That's a
thing
whole
is if
that's
you
a
took
whole
a
different
dark
flip.
society, yeah, so what you said, Killing Joke, for those who haven't seen it, is basically an origin story of how Joker got created and kind of the only one we had until this movie dropped. The man in the movie lost his wife and unborn child in a freak accident. Uh, what is it? Just like in, well, we'll talk about that later. But in this movie, he's trying to be a stand-up comedian, but keeps bombing on stage. So he bombs on stage the same day, then gets dragged into what is it? Some kind of robbery with the mob, and those two dudes he's with end up getting killed. And to top it off, Batman and a battery acid. So one bad day, and that was the whole thing. He tried to turn Commissioner Gordon into basically the next him, saying, "If I put him through just as much stress, anyone can become me. You think I'm the bad guy, but society made me this way."
which didn't which didn't even work.
Exactly. Commissioner Gordon
Yeah.
still wanted everything done by the book. But
Hmm.
yeah, so people were thinking this would inspire mass shooters. It would inspire like incels, or I saw even like white supremacists and Nazis would get like a kick out of this and feel inspired by the movie. But even in the trailers, you can see the only ones who feel inspired in the film are the ones who already feel disenfranchised and equal to Joaquin Phoenix's character. Like I've heard a lot of
Right.
comparisons to, I haven't seen it, don't shoot me, Taxi Driver. I've heard a lot of comparisons to that movie if you guys have seen it.
Oh, well, nah, that's a different aspect because Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro back in like I think it was 76 or something like that. Bro, that guy is just a form if I'm not mistaken, he's a former war vet who wants to protect a young prostitute Jodie Foster and wants to do his duty in I think he wants to join like a political campaign office for a guy who's running for mayor. But they told him no, like no, go to hell or whatever. And then he didn't like that. That's all. It's a complete aspect because war, first of all, was involved in Vietnam. Then he was just trying to do his duty. He wasn't trying to do anything else. But when they told him no, then he decided on, well, I'm gonna use this against bad guys. But it turns out I might actually need this against good guys. You know what I'm saying? Or my personal enemies. Nearly the same as what Joaquin was trying to do as Joker. You feel me?
Okay, I guess in the psycho aspect, I can see how people make the relation, and then Robert De Niro being in both is kind of a good touch.
I think that was just an overgeneralization of both situations. Just because they both were basically psycho in the end, and they potentially kill people. Joker did kill people. I can't remember if Robert De Niro killed anybody except bad guys who were messing with the chick or something. Which is the same thing Joker did in the beginning, but completely different situation
Yeah, when it
or a
finally got
character
like to that
overall.
point, I was like, okay, now we're really like it's not. Don't go into this film thinking, okay, it's gonna be like Dark Knight Part Two and super action. It's basically you're following the story of somebody's descent into madness. It's basically how the film
That's
goes.
what That's why they said it from the start when they announced it. This is not going to be part of the DCU. This is going to be a strictly solo movie,
All right,
separate from everything
before
else.
we rip this movie to shreds, as far as like diving deep into its whole story, do we want to jump into some lighter news, which I think Amp would be happy about? These two finally coming together, Disney and Sony finally getting their together. We
Yes.
we have struck a deal. We can, yes, it's movie news. And
can, absolutely.
did anyone see Ryan Reynolds' post on Instagram today? Please tell me y'all saw this shit.
Yes, I saw your story, man. Oh man, yo! As soon as you said the caption, I clicked on the post and saw it, dude. Oh my god, how I'm so
Yeah.
glad I'm so glad he's Deadpool. There's nobody else that can be
So for
Deadpool.
those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's a picture of Ryan Reynolds outside the Marvel Studios logo, and it says, "Audition for the role of Anthony Stark. Didn't come even remotely close, but the nice man with the taser escorted me to the ground." So, no idea what he's doing there. We haven't heard news yet, but if we get an MCU Deadpool, I'm down for whatever movie they are about to spit out, because it's been kind of dry on Marvel news lately, besides the merge.
I haven't even really heard of any Marvel movies since Far From Home with Spider-Man.
Exactly, and Far From Home has had a whole DVD release. By the time the previous movie's DVD drops, the next thing is like already in motion. It's been like Ghost, but I supposedly the
Yeah.
deal now has been reached at a I think 25-75 split rather than 50-50. So
Maybe Marvel's having is letting DC have their little moment with the Joker movie because right now they have the hype, especially right after the
oh, and it's
Joker.
October.
You know
Disney
what I
Plus
mean?
is around the corner. They're about to steal so much Netflix money.
Is that next month?
November 15th, Disney Plus drops, and my mom has already caved and
Oh,
pre-ordered. I believe. Like once I told her what it
uh,
was, she's getting it just for the classics, and now they're getting all the old. What is it? The old Spider-Man show, the old like X-Men from 1992 is gonna be on it. Darkwing Duck, Tailspin. They found like every archive they could of all these
Gargoyles.
properties, and just are
Yeah,
just flexing on the entire streaming industry.
they're bringing everything back from like our childhood all the way
So,
till
Amp, are we
now.
are we
It's
still mad
so
at Sony?
unfair. Some bull.
Go ahead. The people would love to hear your comments because you kind of snapped on our other show when it came to discussing this controversy.
Before
Oh
I say
man.
anything about that, I do want to go back to the Joker, because that's what the show's titled, Joker, and we want to talk about it for like 10 minutes. So
We got plenty of show. We just wanted to dive into some side stuff.
the Joker, I was listening to what you guys were saying about, some of the controversy and stuff. I will say, I find it really funny that if a comic book comes out, or a comic book movie, or like a fun movie, comes out and it's like something serious or something that's like, oh, this isn't comic books, this is like really intense. I like how critics and hypocrites kind of come out of the woodwork and blame comic books and video games for all the negativity in the world. But then when you got movies like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or you have like Fight Club or other violent movies like the Stallone movies, the Rambo movies,
Right.
are all violent movies.
People lined up around the corner to see Saw like 8 times.
Exactly my point.
And then
Like,
what was I
but
can't-
no one says anything negative about those movies.
I'm
you
blanking
know?
on the name of it. What was it called? With the dude, they tried to rob the blind guy, and he ends up like torturing them for 2
Oh,
hours.
don't breathe. Don't breathe.
Yeah, Don't Breathe. People like love Don't Breathe. I didn't see anyone like, oh, this is making blind people look. People held that movie to such a high acclaim when it came out. I still haven't seen it because I missed its whole theater run. But I heard like nothing but good reviews. But this movie once again had the whole like critics 2%,
Yeah.
tomato score with audience
tell-
99.
I'm telling you, it's because of the message it sends out. Because all the other movies don't have any message. It's literally blood, violence, and cool shit, or people defending themselves. That's why everyone thought the fight scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with the Pitbull was amazing. That's why you got this guy in Don't Breathe defending his turf from everybody. But it's all the same bullcrap, just killings and funny fight scenes, but that are unimportant. Here comes Joker doing everything with a purpose to send a message out there, and now people have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about how violent Saw constantly is. How horrible all those people die in all those movies with it because it doesn't send a message.
I mean, you can even break it down to Disney movies and child movies. Like, these kid movies, like, what was that one movie that came out where the kid, like, he goes to see his dead parents. They're all dead. Coco, right? That was the weirdest, like, subtly most creepy movie I've ever seen. You're basically telling kids when you die, you become skeletons.
You felt that was creepy?
And then, yeah, absolutely. Think about it.
I just heard about the whole like Dia de los Muertos. I'm like, dude. I'm not gonna complain. That's not even my.
Listen, no. You're gonna give me
my area to step in.
These people are gonna give me crap about a guy or about a comic book character who his whole mentality is that he's a psychopath. But then Disney can drop a movie about a kid who's going to freak out if everyone forgets about his family members. Like, the whole premise was like, if everyone forgets about you or don't celebrate you on the Day of the Dead, you evaporate from existence. Like, what? Like, how dark is that? That's absolutely dark.
So, I felt the whole murder mystery was the darker part. This dude poisoned his best friend, and it was just like...
And everyone thinks just putting in animation and music and cartoons somehow makes everything that much better and disappears from the subject they're trying to talk about.
Like, even if you talk about, like, even more old school movies, like The Lion King, right? The original one. Like,
more murder. More childhood murder.
His uncle kills his father. Like, that's nuts.
It's the story
that's
of
absolutely
Macbeth,
nuts.
bro. That's Shakespeare.
So it's just, that's what drives me insane about
critics.
T'Challa's
dad killed his uncle.
That's what drives me insane about critics and people who bash comic book movies like this. It's like, dude, literally, we're watching film all the time of storytelling.
Actually, T'Challa's dad killed his uncle and then left his nephew just to rot.
Yeah, he was going to send his nephew to the gang members to eat him.
Even more old school is Bambi. Bambi's mother.
Okay, as a kid, I never understood what was happening in Bambi when it's like everybody run. I just understood the gunshots and the music and that stuff was getting dark. But I never, as a child, processed like why everything got so creepy at that same part of the movie, and I just stopped watching it. I don't think I watched Bambi in like 10 years.
Still, it's still out there just because of the fact that it's like, oh, Disney's sending a little message that, oh, well, if you're a deer, you better watch your ass or else your mom's going to get killed, and then you're screwed. That's it. Just like that. The mom dies within the first, 15 minutes of the movie.
The other thing I have an issue with, I won't go into that. No. At the end of the day, I will say this. The theories, so the fan theories that have been out there have been awesome.
Some people, I have never used Reddit so much.
Some people are saying that this, they could use this Joker still for, the new Batman, what's his name? The
Twilight, Robert Pattinson, whatever his name is.
They're saying they could use him because at the end of the movie, again, these are major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, turn off this stream. But at the end of the film, when Joker's talking to the therapist and he's like, you wouldn't get the joke, you wouldn't get it. They're kind of referencing that Batman arrested him, put him in Arkham Asylum, and only Batman would get the joke that he's telling. So there's small references there where it's he lives in a society where there is a Batman, and that maybe everything he thought was made up, everything he thought was not real. So in a sense, he was kind of fighting an internal conflict within himself while also fighting Batman in real life.
We couldn't, and you can't really tell how much time has passed from when he was standing on the police car with everybody cheering him on and him in Arkham Asylum. That I try to figure out because I'm like, okay, so he was standing on the car, there was no note that came on the screen, and I'm like, wait, how much time just passed? Because he doesn't even have his green hair or anything like that, and I'm just like, no, someone put him there, or the cops caught him but the only way the cops could catch him is if they have somebody helping them.
Do you guys think it was all in his head, like the whole thing? Or,
I think certain aspects, but no.
No.
it's like some people are claiming that the whole thing was in his head, and that the whole time he was in the asylum. And they're using the one example where the first time where he's talking to the therapist in the very beginning of the movie,
right?
And you see him beat his head against the window and the door. They claim that that's him like trying to wake up from his dream or whatever, but he doesn't, obviously, and the whole movie is him like in his head the entire time.
I love that theory. I just don't think it's that. I think the biggest mind fuck of the whole thing for me was with the girl.
Okay, so
that was my
do you have any
biggest thing.
comments about the other stuff before we just completely dive into the psycho aspect?
Well,
I'm just asking.
I want to, but I also, this was titled Joker.
I know.
So I want to.
Movie news, trying to be diversified. Okay, into the spoiler stuff we do. If you don't like it, click off now. Yeah, the girl from. Actually, side note for all my Atlanta fans out there, Donald Glover show. I just call this the alternate timeline where if you watch the show, the end of season 2, their rap careers fell, and Donald Glover's girlfriend ends up in Gotham with some psycho who may or may not have offed her towards the end of the movie. I don't think he did it. I'm just gonna put that out there.
What?
Oh damn, she's in Atlanta?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
she's the love interest in Donald Glover's Atlanta. And at the end, I saw other people saying on Twitter, they're like,
awesome.
So at the end of Atlanta, Paperboy's rap career failed. He ends up working at a mental hospital, and his girlfriend goes to live in Gotham with her parents, falls out, ends up in some dumpy apartment with their kid, and Earn's just a deadbeat dad, nowhere to be found. Yeah. If you watch the show, you get it. If not... But yeah, his whole thing with the girl, that threw me completely off. Because they started showing all the scenes that she wasn't actually there. So he had to go through, I don't even think he realized he bombing on stage by himself, his mom's whole stroke issue by himself, and basically everything else. And apparently this chick just leaves her apartment unlocked. We never really brought that up.
Yeah, that's one thing we should totally talk about.
I when I saw that, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It's the worst city ever to live in. You're talking about how crappy the building is, so you keep your door unlocked. Man, that's some straight up.
There's a reason
bullshit.
why The Dark Knight chose Chicago as a reason to make it Gotham.
Dude, yeah, the revelation when she's like, aren't you Arthur from down the hall? Like, as soon as she finished that sentence,
I was in my seat like,
That's
what is
bro.
happening? And then
When she was like, "What are you doing here? Your name's Arthur, right?" I was like,
no
And
way.
then all you see is all the scenes that she was in before, but she wasn't
it
really
was
there.
all a dream. Yeah.
Dude, I honestly thought, and I'm not gonna lie to you, the very first scene where he's in the studio audience, I legitimately thought for a moment there like he had been in the studio audience. But then, like, the more it played out, obviously you're like, okay, this is totally in his head. But in the very, very beginning where he's like kind of laughing out loud and stuff, I'm like, dude, he's going to get made fun of so bad. And then it's totally not. Like, the guy's like, oh, you're great. I wish you were my son, like stuff like that.
Then it builds up. It's like, okay, this does happen, but later, and even like kind of worse.
Yeah.
Because when it was happening, I was like, either this is going to get, like, there was so many cringy moments, and I'm just like, please make it stop. Then you're like, oh, there wasn't even real.
So many. My biggest thing was when he was doing his stand up. I kept looking away from the screen because I was just like, no.
Exactly.
Oh, God, no.
So the fact, like, when he started doing his stand up, I'm just like, I'm sitting next to my buddy who's in the chat. Hi, Ed. I'm sitting next to Ed, like, please just make this whole part stop. And then people start laughing. I'm like, okay. He's laughing. The girl is laughing. The crowd is laughing. Then you get the revelation that none of that happened, and he ends up getting trashed on TV. It's terrible.
By his hero.
Exactly, his hero of all that. And then the whole... Well, first, how do we feel about the whole, like, laugh being a mental condition? I thought that was, like, a weird... I thought it was an interesting touch to add.
I was just going to say, I think that his laugh, a condition that he had, but then as the movie goes on, he, like, accepts it, doesn't stop it, doesn't try to stop it, and he just lets it loose. I think that was
Yeah, you notice once the whole train scene happens, he doesn't laugh anymore out of like his condition. Like you rarely see the condition laugh anymore. It's like he gets rebirthed on the train.
That's what I'm saying. It goes from the train thing, him handing the card saying, I have a condition that makes me laugh.
I said, how do you like twice? Relax.
Uncontrollably to.
Now my friends are in the chat like, where's our shout out?
So then it goes from him handing the card, showing that he had a condition of uncontrollable laughter or cackling, whatever it was, to literally it's him laughing. He's accepted it. He doesn't take his meds no more to stop it or anything like that. He finally accepted himself, and it became a part of him. But I thought having it as a mental condition was genius. I thought that, or as a condition he had, I thought it was genius because it went right into it, and then he only grew with it.
Yeah, and then you can see Gotham's like a rough place because even like in the beginning, he's just being nice and playing with the kid, and the lady's being all like rude and ish about it. And then it puts him in like that. That's like the first intro to like all the awkwardness and crap. And then you get jumped by a pack of kids. Terrible.
Yo, the hell with those kids, bro. Like, who raised those
I was
kids,
hoping
bro?
that he would eventually find
God.
them and maybe just like beat them into submission. Not kill them, but they all deserved at least one punch. Like, and the fact we just never see them again. They just steal a sign. Then he gets blamed for the sign. Like, how does everyone in the office know you got jumped and beat up and see that you're covered in bruises except your boss?
He literally tells him too, like, I got jumped. I literally got beat up. And he's like,
the other thing though,
some kid.
So they're saying that might have been made up also. So none of his coworkers saw it. Like when you hear them talk about it, they're more so like, oh, so you got jumped by some kids, huh? So like they kind of are like, did he make up this story? Did he not? And obviously we see the bruises on his back and stuff, and we see the bruises around his body. But because he has a mental illness, it could have been self-inflicted, and he could have saw it all in his head.
How does he inflict that injury to his back?
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just telling you what some of the theories are. Some people don't believe it.
No.
They don't think that it really happened.
Wait. No, I can answer that. The theory that it was made up because no one saw it. Not everyone works in the same building. He was hired by the dude that was playing the music or the dude that owned that store that was going out of business. He hired him to dance in front, and then the guy's sign was his. That wasn't made up. They work for the same company, but they don't all do the same jobs.
They get contracted out basically.
Right, but the owner didn't see him take the sign though. The owner just saw him like kind of run away. Like, well, he didn't even see him run away. Like the owner was just like, "You disappeared."
Where's my sign?
Yeah, and where's my sign? Like, I want my sign back. And then the boss was like, "No one saw any kids."
That just means he wasn't even paying attention and whatnot. That doesn't mean anything.
Side note,
I don't know. It could mean a lot.
That theory's overshot.
Side note, do we think did he starve himself for this role? Because like when he first takes his shirt off, that is, I don't think I've ever seen that shape before.
So there was another rumor. He lost 50 pounds, is what people are saying, but he went on Jimmy Fallon not too long ago, and he had an interview with Jimmy Fallon on the show, and Jimmy Fallon was like, Fallon was like, "Is it true that you lost 50 pounds for the role?" He said, 50 pounds, are you kidding me? He's like, I only lost 15. So, from his mouth, he said he lost 15. But obviously, it looks like he lost a lot more. But he's always been a pretty thin guy. Like, he's never really been like a fat guy.
That 15 could have really made a difference.
Exactly. Like, if I lose 15 pounds, I look muscular. But to a skinny guy...
Yeah. But still, the difference between what we all saw him in the movie and how he looked on Jimmy Fallon is drastically different. I don't think that's as little as 15 pounds. I think he just didn't want to blow it up.
Yep.
Because then people would have started comparing him and Christian Bale from The Machinist. Almost. You know
that's what
I mean?
I thought of when I first saw it too.
Probably didn't want to inspire anybody to go and try to do some crazy diet.
Good. Why do you do that? Blah blah blah.
what do you guys think this means for the future? Like, this is just a one-off and we just move on from it? We're like, oh, this was a masterpiece. That's it. Or
Okay.
do we like say, hey, we want more?
So my friend has a question. My friend Kayla says, explain this to me. Remember his coworkers. The big guy and the midget. Can someone explain to me why he killed the big guy? It seemed as though that guy was his friend. Was it because of the gun? Yes. Dude basically set him up the entire movie.
The guy
dick.
the guy gave him the gun, and then he snitched on him, saying it was Phoenix.
Yeah, said, oh, you brought a
When it
gun into
wasn't.
the office too? Yeah, that was all. He basically set him up to get him out of there. So I think the bosses, when the boss was like, you make people uncomfortable, I think he was telling the truth. I thought he was just being a dick at first, but I think he low-key was giving him like the harsh truth that, hey, they may be nice to you, but no one in there actually likes you, except for the tiny guy. And that's
The tiny guy was the only one that was nice to him and respected him. That's why he didn't kill him.
And that's part of why I
he
don't
said
think
that
he killed the
himself.
girl at the end of the movie, because he only went and took out everyone that wronged him. So starts with the 3 guys in the train. That was self-defense. He was getting beat up, but then they make it to be, oh, this woe is me story, which kicks off the whole film. And then he goes and takes out the big guy, because that's the person he knows set him up and gave him the gun and got him fired. So, but then he lets the midget leave, which I'm probably going to hell. I laughed probably the loudest in my theater when he couldn't reach the lock.
That was so funny.
I was because someone.
That
It was so funny.
I
funny.
went
That
as I
was
went
so
into the
damn
theater.
funny.
Someone on Twitter shared a picture of a lock and it was like the most dangerous villain in the entire Gotham universe. And I was like, what does this mean? And then I saw the film. I was
great.
like, I lost my.
Oh, that's
shit.
great. Oh, that's a really good meme.
That was messed up, but I couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. I literally had to like oh shit.
So
like, damn, they
the
got him.
brilliance of Joaquin Phoenix, his reaction to seeing the midget not be able to like get the lock was perfect. Like, he's the Joker. Like, he laughs at everything incredibly hard, but in this moment after he just killed this fat guy, he's letting this little person leave, and he can't reach the lock, and he kind of looks up at him, like chuckles, and gets up and opens the door, like as if nothing happened. Like,
Yeah.
it was like one of the perfect Joker things to do. Like,
Yeah, that was a very Joker moment.
yeah, like Joker would totally do something like that.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not a Joker joke, so like he's not going to overreact to it. He's not going to freak out. He just kind of looks up and he's like, "Damn, that's funny," and then he just kind of moves on about his day. Like, it's pretty
That was
incredible.
Pure Joker. That's pure Joker.
Yeah. So the fact
Just
that
because
again, the
you
fact that
see
he
it-
let him live, I
you
don't
see him-
think he killed the girl and her kid.
Sitting with dead.
What?
Wait, see, you think he killed his girlfriend or
No,
whatever?
no, no. I think because he let the little guy live, I think that's why. I think I'm sitting on the theory side of he didn't do it. Because when I look at it, everyone's like, oh, yeah, he definitely took them out, too. He definitely probably killed. I'm like, no, because he let the little guy live because he's like, you were the only one that was nice to me. She was nice enough to at least acknowledge him and have a conversation in the elevator. So she had that. She hadn't really done anything wrong. He walked into her apartment and was like, all right, you kind of need to go. And then they cut to I think they did it on purpose the way they did it. They cut to him sitting in his apartment with the sirens. It didn't click until I heard someone else in the theater like gasp. It was like, he didn't. I'm like, he couldn't have, because I don't see him being the type to kill kids. The ones who beat him maybe, but like a kid, because even when like little Bruce Wayne came in, he was genuinely trying to make the kid smile. Alfred was kind of an ass though, and I feel like they got a perfect character for that, or a perfect cast for that.
Yeah, you trying to make Bruce laugh in a really creepy way. Nah, the
Well,
only
he did think
people
Bruce was his brother,
that
too, though.
survived-
Yeah, I thought they were legit gonna make them like
that's right.
siblings in this movie, which would have been twisted.
Well, we still don't know if they're not.
Really, you think so?
Dude, like, think about it. Like, no,
Nah.
think about it.
We
Mr.
had,
Wayne,
we had the medical records,
dude,
though.
Mr. Wayne is like, all like, no, that's not. The medical records don't mean nothing, because think about it. He's a multi-billionaire. He could hide whatever he wants.
Okay, so
like,
this
remember the picture
this
that he
was-
looks back and it's TW on the back? Thomas Wayne?
Okay, this was my thing on if you guys
Yeah,
ever
I
if you guys ever
remember
heard of
that.
like the Telltale game series with The Walking Dead and
Yeah.
so this kind of reminded me of their Batman series. The Batman series for the Telltale games is kind of finding out, hey, Thomas Wayne was kind of an evil POS. He not only like his the Penguin, or basically in that series, I believe, his parents and Bruce's parents were basically in cahoots with the mob or something like that. I'm paraphrasing here. And when they finally got big enough to form Wayne Enterprises, I believe the dad died. Thomas Wayne has the mom locked up in a mental institution and fakes paperwork so that she dies in there. And the kid comes back for Bruce seeking revenge. So the whole time I'm thinking, did he have his mom locked up and make all this stuff up on paper just so he wouldn't believe it? But then when we see the flashback of him with the bruises and stuff, I'm thinking, okay, we find out he's mentally ill because he was beaten as a child.
Okay, wait. I have another theory.
Go for it.
Though. Okay, so Amp, you mentioned the picture of what's
Thomas
Wayne. What's the No, Arthur's mom.
Oh,
is it Penny?
I'm blanking on it.
Penny Fleck, right?
It was like, I don't remember.
Okay, well, anyway. Okay, so the back of her picture had, I forget what the message said, but TW for Thomas Wayne, right? So your theory is that he actually wrote that and he just hid everything because he's a billionaire. Right. Okay, the whole reason that Alfred and Thomas Wayne knew about Penny, I think that's her name. I'm going to go with Penny. That they knew about her is because they called her delusional. That's what she was diagnosed with when we saw the interview of her from the paper Joker read, and that she claimed that they were in love, but he claims they never did anything, right? So then my question is, how do you know she didn't write that shit on the back?
That's
of
my
photo?
thing. So when we find out she's actually loony, thanks to Paperboy working at the asylum, and then we see the flashbacks of her beat up, I'm like, okay, this could still be Thomas Wayne is now an abusive piece of crap and puts people in mental hospitals when they lie on him or doesn't want them to come out. But then again, I feel like maybe we should have seen who the boyfriend was or a flashback of her and him fighting. I don't know. Maybe he beat both of them crazy.
Well, we wouldn't see a flashback any of that because it's all based out of Joker's narrative. So
this is true.
He wasn't there. So
well, also maybe we should have found out. She kept saying she worked for him.
Her name was Penny, by the way.
Yeah, she did.
Right.
She did work for him. That's why when he
Penny,
confronts Thomas Wayne, he's like, "Yes, I remember your mom. No, I'm not your father. I told her this. I'm telling you this. Need to knock it off. Here's what really happened." And that's when they have the whole bathroom punch. He gets knocked. Well, not knocked out, but he gives him the bloody nose and is like, "Stay away from Bruce and leave my son out of this."
Yeah, but you guys understand how easy it is to put stuff under the rug. Like, Joker and his mom are completely broke. Like, they have no money to prove anything. It's all he said, she said. So, like, the only proof he has is this picture and what his mom claims happened. And, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's very easy for a billionaire to just push this type of stuff under the rug and just be like,
because there is a story. There is a storyline where he did this.
And of course, what's his name? Alfred. Of course, Alfred would know about this. He's a freaking butler, and we know how important he is to the whole Batman saga.
Yeah, in the Telltale game, Alfred knew everything, and then when Bruce found out, he's like, "I didn't want you to know your dad was this wicked."
I'm not disagreeing with the theory that Wayne just basically hit everything, because with as much money and power that he has, he probably can do that. I'm just saying, if everything, points to the evidence that, especially with her obsession with Thomas Wayne the entire movie, and then you come to find out that it was all delusional from her and all made up, I'm just saying, how much further can she go by just writing a simple thing on the back of her picture and just write TW?
How much money did she waste on stamps?
That's what I'm saying. I understand where you're coming from, man, but I'm just saying it could be as simple as she wrote that crap on the picture to make it look real.
Right. Obviously, it could go either way. That's the whole point of the movie and why it was made the way it was made.
That's the whole point of debating it. Yeah.
But I will tell you this, man. The way that the Waynes have always been, they've always been a very secretive family.
Right.
Like in the comics and any generation, like the games, the movies, they've always had a secret, basically lifestyle that everyone knew existed, but no one ever talks about. And this could easily fall in that category. Same concept. And I think it's easy to just be like, oh, no, like he's adopted. His mom made it all up. It's all a lie.
Yeah, you can follow what's being told to you on screen if you want to.
Exactly. But the movie itself, clearly showed that you can't take everything at face value.
Yeah, there's so
the whole movie is like that.
I think the reason this movie has so many levels to it, which is probably why, if I'm looking at this number correctly, they're most likely going to hit the $1 billion mark. They're at 200 million domestically. Foreign, they're at 350, which you can just call that even 400. So right now they're at 6, and they're not even a month into being out yet. And opening weekend, number 1 with 96 million. So that was basically 100 opening weekend. And I can guarantee they didn't spend, what was the budget? 55 million. So made that back easily. And then we're running out on time. So just jump into the end bits. The fact that we get a reverse story where instead of Batman creates Joker, Joker creates Batman. The whole shooting Robert De Niro. I didn't think he was going to kill himself as much people kept joking. I thought he was going to break out his famous fake bang gun like Joker always has.
I did too.
So the fact that people on Reddit no, they thought he was going to go on TV and blow his brains out. I'm like, I never even picked up on that. The fact that he was murking people towards the end of the film, I'm like, maybe he's just going to go and have a laugh and yep, it was me, which he did. He owns up to the killing, doesn't even say it was self-defense, kills Robert De Niro, and then he goes outside and basically enjoys the birth of his chaos. And the problem with people taking with this film is all those people in Joker masks felt disenfranchised and only did that because they felt the city they were in cared more about who was electing than the people they were electing for. Then you get riots. You get Thomas Wayne getting shot in the alley with his kid by some rando. It wasn't even Joe Chill this time. And then the entire city's gone like the final level of San Andreas.
Once you could feel the whole scene at the end with him being on the show on Nero. You could feel the tension building up. Once he said the words, what do you get when a society forgets about or treats a person with a mental illness like trash? I was like, goodbye, Robert, and there, bow, just like that.
Yeah, even when he's talking to the therapist after he kills the first 3 guys, and he's like, I've been doing all this stuff. I finally feel alive, but I feel like no one notices me. I'm finally telling you something different after all these years, and you don't even hear me. I just told you this, and you don't hear me. You ask the same questions, you do the same things, but it's like no one ever listens. And I'm like, this is the part that might speak volumes to people, but it shouldn't inspire any incels.
Well, what sucks too is most people who walked out of the movie didn't even see that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Most people who walked out of the movie, they gave it maybe 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure most people walked out on the train scene. I think that's what the majority of people probably walked out on. And I mean,
are you serious?
Honestly, it pisses me off because it's storytelling. It's a story. How many of these TV shows do people watch where it's it's on regular public broadcasted television and you're watching pornos and you're watching
there's a Purge TV show now.
How can people even walk out of that?
It just pisses me off that people take things so literal when it comes to nerdom, nerdom, man. At the end of the day, people want to blame comic books and video games and comic book movies for issues that going on in the world.
We just had a whole Comic-Con. No one got shot, stabbed, beat up, inappropriately groped, nothing.
Dude, no one got killed in this movie. No one went out and shot up a movie theater. There was one major threat somewhere in I forgot where it was, but there was a major threat and it made the news and everyone's like, oh my gosh, but then they opened up 3 or 4 hours later and everything was fine.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, man, life's going to happen and things are going to happen. People have to stop overreacting about some of this stuff. It's out of our control,
including bad things.
Right? Exactly.
It's not going to be all. It's not going to be all lollipops
but
and candy all the time.
So the people that want to blame movies and video games and comic books are, no offense, older, uneducated, uncultured people. Like, it's people that have a microphone or have the ability to say something that makes absolutely no sense or has no
What's the movie I'm trying to
context
think
to
of?
it, but then like they can turn around and say, "We need more guns in society."
Oh, I
or,
guarantee they were
we
lining
need
to go
more-
see Saving Private Ryan though, because that started
Yeah.
off. That movie started off so lovely.
That movie was an amazing movie, but isn't the whole movie based on war?
Exactly.
And isn't it
The
based
first
on like
scene is like some of the most graphic
The-
war film I've seen in my
dude,
life.
the scene where the Nazis
It's-
stabbing the
it's
guy,
D-Day.
like stabbing the guy upstairs very slowly, staring at him in his eyes.
Slowly.
Oh, that's art. That's art. That's considered art. And the American soldier on the ground who's like being a wimp in a vagina, who's too scared to go up and save his
Yeah,
buddy.
that- what
like,
the
okay, that's
Okay,
that.
that
Can,
was my
that should
first-
win an award.
My
But-
first time seeing that, I was riding on the bus home from a football game in college. I woke up to that part and was like, what is this shit and why is he just sitting there? And then he wants to shoot the guy after the fact. I'm like, you let everyone down.
dude. Yeah, I was so
I
mad.
hated that part.
Um,
I never felt more hate for a movie than that scene, just because I'm like, dude, get up and be a man. But
Sorry,
but
we're
that's
going
the
way off
reality
topic.
of war.
Sorry.
Some people
Yeah,
can't
well,
take it.
we need to wrap
The
it up. I'm
point
sorry,
is,
guys.
people, there have been worse movies out with worse themes and worse glorification than a comic film that takes place in its own city, in its own universe, and the things that are affected and created there only take place in that area. It's all about Gotham. There's no Trump shade or, hey, society, blah, 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 creates anything in there. You can find ways to relate to it, but there's nothing in there that would inspire an uprising and mass chaos.
Which, mind you, Gotham is a fictional city. It's from comic books. It's from movies, TV shows, cartoons. It's fictional. It's not a real city.
Because the movie comes off as like a realistic themed movie, it still doesn't give people the right to just bash it like on face value. Like people like, oh, it just frustrates me when people don't give it context or give it an opportunity.
At
like
all.
it was an incredibly well written script. Dude, you literally like verbatimly saying what he said at the end of that film. Like just listening to how it was worded, someone wrote that. You know what I mean? Like someone like literally wrote out this storytelling. The whole scene where like he comes out dancing during his intro at the talk show.
Yeah,
The
he's
just
fully reborn at
like
that scene.
he like it's such a beautiful scene because you're watching this villain being created right before your eyes. Like so many times, like we see these comic book villains and like their origin stories. Like you hear them, but you don't see them. And this was a cool movie in the sense that like you're physically watching the Joker be born on live television, like during this movie. You never see that ever in film, ever. Like sometimes you see like this like weird moment where like, oh, my wife died, and then he has this strange moment where he has octopus arms or you know, just like Venom, you know, like some space alien touches his skin and now all of a sudden he's Venom. Like you never see this like in-depth mental transformation.
Exactly.
And it was so awesome to watch, man.
Which, that's exactly what it is. An entire transformation from one person to another, just released or unleashed.
Yeah.
Basically.
All right, so
Sorry, we
have
gotta
a show to
wrap
do.
this up. Yeah,
Final
sorry.
thoughts. What?
You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, Tony, start us off.
If he doesn't win Best Actor, I'm gonna be pissed. But boom, done.
Yep.
I mean, it was an amazing movie. I'll even say this. I mean, right off the bat, when it first was announced that this was coming out, I was really skeptical. I didn't.
Yeah,
think
when
it
they
was
said
gonna be-
no source material, I
Yeah.
thought, well,
Agreed.
Dragon Ball
Same.
Evolution.
Yeah, I really thought it was gonna be a crappy movie. Turns out it was one of my favorite movies ever. It might make my top 5 list. I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic movie. So.
I might go back. Yeah.
I
10
might
out
have
of
to.
10.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, thank you for proving me wrong. I don't know. I know it's spooky season, but what do we even want to see next week? There's Maleficent, Gemini Man, Addams Family, Zombieland 2. I haven't really felt the spookiness of
Zombieland
this
2.
month.
Zombieland 2.
2.
Zombieland
Cult
2.
classic. Okay.
Zombieland 2.
You guys have it. There we are. I'm your other host. Tony, do the outro. You know how this works.
Deuces, thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in next time. We're gonna talk about Zombieland Double 2 10 years after. Let's do it. I'm your man Tony today. You guys little toys. We out.
We back. We out.